The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered an expedited hearing for a lawsuit filed by former Edo State Deputy Governor, Mr. Philip Shaibu, to overturn his impeachment by the State House of Assembly. Shaibu was impeached on April 8 for allegedly leaking top government secrets. This action came despite a High Court hearing scheduled for 15th of April to address Shaibu's his challenge against the impeachment.
Now, in response to Shaibu's application, the court directed that relevant documents be served to Governor Omobayo and the Edo State House of Assembly through substituted means. At the resumed proceedings on Wednesday, Justice James Omotosho scheduled the full hearing for June 3rd and ordered that the new Deputy Governor Omobayo be added as a defendant. We're joined this morning by public affairs analyst Ikemesit Effiong. Good morning and thanks for joining us, Mr. Effiong.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, just quickly share with us, what the, little details of the case, would be from Philip Shaibu.
Philip Shaibu is challenging his suspension from the People's Democratic Party as well as his impeachment, right? All because he has evinced an interest to contest in the Edo State governorship election, which is coming up later this year. Right, as an act of party discipline, the state chapter of the party, right, in effect suspended him, and his governor, right, with whom they have shared a ticket for 2 terms, orchestrated his impeachment by the State House of Assembly and his replacement. And so, what Philip Shaibu has been, when these impeachment proceedings were imminent, so this was before they actually occurred, Philip Shaibu filed a suit in the Federal High Court, right, basically asking that the Edo State House of Assembly, as well as the governor, as well as the clerk of, said House of Assembly, be restrained from carrying out that action. Now, that action has already happened, and what Philip Shaibu's counsels are arguing before the court is that, because his impeachment is now a fact, and him not remaining as deputy governor and him not remaining a member of the PDP will fatally harm his ability to run in the upcoming governorship elections, that the court should in effect expedite the proceedings so that it can deliver a judgment early and quickly enough for it to be applicable both politically but also in terms of going back to the deputy governorship of Edo State.
Yeah, but just to clarify, all right, according to news report, the reasons given for his impeachment, were that he leaked government secrets. Is this one of the things that has also been spoken about? Because you're saying, he was impeached, or, at least according to him, he was impeached because he, of course, is attempting or trying to contest for governorship of Edo State. But, the reasons for his impeachment are completely different.
I mean, it could very well be a fact, but this leaking of state and government secrets, right, is not only a matter of executive process; it's also a matter of law, right? So, the leaking of government secrets is it is an offense under Nigerian law, right? And probably the right process for the state government in this case to have carried out would have been to have, charges instituted. And in the process of doing that, an impeachment becomes a bit more tenable, right? But this has been handled politically, which raises the fact that a lot of this might be political, political machinations, right, which are sort of occurring right at the back scene. So even if that is the ostensible reason from the government's perspective for his impeachment, just the way that process was handled and the fact that Philip Shaibu is still a free man, he can go wherever he wants to go, he can meet whoever he wants to meet, and there is no legal proceedings that has been instituted with respect to his ostensible leaks of government or state secrets, that simply suggests to me that was probably, a justification which was brought up after the facts and not really what motivated his impeachment to begin with.
Okay, so now let's talk about this case. Are there any implications of Justice Omotosho's decision to include the new Deputy Governor, Godwin Omobayo, and the Speaker of the Edo State Assembly? What are the implications? Is it necessary that this was done? And what does this even mean for the new deputy, the new deputy?
Well, I mean, just procedurally, as a matter of these proceedings, right? It sort of made sense to actually, have the new deputy governor as well as the new speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, right? Added. Remember, a core aspect of Philip Shaibu's case, right, is that the State House of Assembly was one, the ultimate venue of his impeachment, but two, state lawmakers were intentionally and closely involved in the process, right, of his impeachment, and any rectification of that reality would have to happen at the Edo State House of Assembly. So, the speaker of that assembly, right, as the chief officer, as it were, and also as a chief politician within the state legislature, is a necessary party to this suit. The new deputy governor, right, as a matter of law, is seen as the big beneficiary of Philip Shaibu's impeachment. Without his impeachment, the deputy governorship isn't vacant. There is no need to appoint a new one. And if the court decides now, and there's really no indication as to how the court may decide in this particular instance. But if the court does decide that Philip Shaibu was indeed wrongfully impeached, then the competent order to make is that he be restored, and that would obviously nullify this new appointment. So just from a matter of procedural law, right, it was important to have these people. Substantively, right, the court will still have to determine whether Philip Shaibu's impeachment was, one, lawfully made, and two, whether every process that needed to be carried out in order for his impeachment to be valid was carried out. If there is any part of that step-by-step process which the court determines was unlawfully done, then we should reasonably expect that Philip Shaibu will be back in the deputy governorship.
Yeah, and of course, still talking a little bit more about the impeachment and, how it also happened. There was meant to be a scheduled hearing to, of course, address the challenge against the impeachment. But the Edo State House of Assembly went ahead and impeached Philip Shaibu. So, I mean, speak a little bit more about that complete disregard for, of course, the court processes.
Yes, correct, right, and a big part of this proceeding actually turns on the behavior of of key actors, especially pertaining to their respect for the law, right, and in this sense, the Philip Shaibu's legal team is on relatively strong legal footing. The courts are really not a fan of having their authority fettered in any way. One of the cardinal principles, right, of our legal and our justice system is that when a matter before a court of competent jurisdiction, what we call in law the rest or the subject matter, right, of that proceeding should be left undisturbed until the court makes a final determination. Now, the legal team of the State House of Assembly had challenged the jurisdiction of the court. That was tossed out. Obviously, the Federal High Court is competent in these matters. You also had a situation, as you rightly pointed out, right, you have a situation where people went ahead, even though there was a court proceeding, which admittedly and in a bit of gamemanship was quickly instituted in order to stop the State House of Assembly from doing that. So, anyone who was competent or closely follows Edo politics was expecting that, the relationship between the current governor, Godwin Obaseki, and Philip Shaibu seems to have irretrievably broken down, and impeachment was on the cards, especially since Philip Shaibu was not the governor's appointed political successor, but still insisted that he was going to run. He was going to, include his candidacy for this upcoming government elections. So in a way, the legal proceedings were instituted as part of the political gamemanship to basically stop the State House of Assembly and by extension, right, people who feel that the governor is closely involved in this from proceeding with that. Having said that, once the matter was competently filed in court, state lawmakers were supposed to have, basically, stood down and basically, sought to take this out, right, in the legal arena. And so in that sense, right, I don't think that the judge will necessarily be sympathetic towards the arguments of the defendants in this case, just simply on account of their behavior. Having said that, and this would be my final point, right, the court still has core legal rules and principles that it has to take cognizance of in determining its proceedings. And so while the behavior of state lawmakers may be less than desired, that really would not be the core determination that the court would have to make in this matter. Like I said, the court really has as its job to determine whether the impeachment was validly made or it wasn't. And those matters are a question of law, and not so much a question of people's behavior outside of the courts.
All right, so now let's talk about the way forward and what the decision of the court will mean. What will it mean for the political landscape in Edo State? What are we looking at in the maybe next couple months in Edo State?
Well, I mean, the governorship race there is already shaping up to be, somewhat acrimonious, but almost certainly competitive, right? Personally, for me, I don't think that this moves much. This moves the needle much in terms of what the current political makeup, right, of the state is. Like I said, Philip Shaibu is pretty much a pariah already. The People's Democratic Party circles, and he said that where these proceedings could probably help and support his his prospects is if it's if the court essentially determines that Philip Shaibu is competent enough, one, to run during the elections, even though that's sort of a side question, but two, and more importantly, if he would remain, right, the Deputy Governor of Edo State. If he does that, he has a bit of a surer political footing. He can basically go to the electorate and say, I beat, my political enemies, I beat, especially the governor who is term limited, so he isn't really running right in these elections, and they are out to get me because I have a plan and an agenda which prioritizes you, the voter, over, a lot of these career politicians. And, let's also remember sort of his antecedents, right? Philip Shaibu has, while he has been a known commodity in sort of Edo political and national life, right, he has not been a retail politician for as long. So that's an argument that he can make validly, right, and with some credibility, over the course of these particular elections, right? And what a legal victory sort of does for him is that it just empowers him to make better arguments. It may not mean he eventually wins the PDP ticket. It may not obviously mean that he's successful at the ballot box, but it does improve his chances. He's something of an outsider looking in at the rest of the pack, and
kind of hold on.
legal victory.
You're talking about the ballot box. The party primaries have been held already, haven't they?
Yes, they have, right? But as is the case with a lot of party primaries in Nigeria, there are many, many things. There are many, many moving parts first with respect to these primaries. And there are many things which one can take to another court, right? And essentially ask that the primaries be validated. I do know on good authority that Shaibu's legal team is either contemplating or they are in the process of filing a particular case seeking to nullify, right, those set party primaries that you made reference to. And so we have a situation where every step of this political process can be challenged, both legally as well as politically. Obviously, Philip Shaibu could hitch his ticket on another political vehicle. There's also the zoning equation, right, to sort of recognize with respect to this, right? Philip Shaibu right now, I believe, is from Edo North Senatorial District. Godwin Obaseki is from Edo Central, right, which is in the current governorship, right? And one of the other key candidates, Olumide Akpata, right, is also an important factor, right, in this. And so there's also this zoning argument and conversation, right, to be made, which Philip Shaibu would think, right, also puts him in a good position as well. So there are a lot of moving parts to this, and the fact that the party primaries have held does not mean that it's politically sacrosanct.
Well, I mean, there's so much that would happen in the next couple of months before the elections. It's pretty obvious. Of course, with the aspect of dialogue with the Akpata, like you just mentioned, and all of that. We're looking forward to seeing how things play out. Also to mention, Philip Shaibu seems to have taken up the same outfit, with Adams Oshomole. That's the outfit they seem to have whenever they're fighting battles.
Thanks for joining us.
My